Meghan Markle believed that she would finally put to rest the ongoing and, I believe, very accurate speculation that she had been wearing a moon bump.
There's a firestorm erupting inside royal circles, and this time it's not about fashion choices or paparazzi photos. It's about something far more dangerous, a secret so scandalous it could shake the very pillars of Buckingham Palace, destroy Meghan Markle's public image forever. Because a woman known only as DL has just stepped out of the shadows claiming that not only did Meghan Markle not give birth to her own children, but that she, DL, was the one who carried Archie and Lilibet in complete isolation, under strict surveillance, and then vanished by design. And now she's back, not with rumors, not with opinions, but with receipts, records, signed documents, ultrasound images, and most shockingly of all, a willingness to take a DNA test, live in public, to prove once and for all that the biggest royal fairy tale of our time may have been nothing more than a carefully orchestrated lie. And as this bombshell revelation ripples across social media and insider circles.
If these children were not born by Meghan Markle's body, then they are unable to sit in the line of succession, the royal line of succession. We're talking about Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, of course.
One question is tearing through the internet like wildfire. What happens if DL is telling the truth? Because this isn't just gossip. It's constitutional crisis territory. It's royal succession thrown into chaos. It's the Queen being deceived, the public being misled, and the global image of Meghan Markle as a maternal icon collapsing like a house of cards. And the silence from Harry and Meghan's team isn't calming the storm. It's fueling it, because with no denial, no legal threat, and no official statement, the public is left staring at a horrifying possibility that everything they thought they knew about the Duke and Duchess of Sussex was built on deception, and now DL is ready to speak, ready to testify, ready to blow the lid off a cover-up that could bring down more than just a brand. It could bring down the monarchy itself. It started like every royal fairy tale does, with glowing headlines, staged photo ops, and a carefully crafted narrative built to charm the world. But behind the palace walls, something didn't sit right. Because while Meghan Markle smiled for the cameras with what appeared to be a perfectly rounded baby bump, a growing number of eagle-eyed viewers began noticing strange inconsistencies, not just in the shape or size of the bump, but in how it moved, folded, and even slipped. And the speculation that followed wasn't from tabloids or trolls. It came from sharp-eyed observers who noticed that Meghan's pregnancy timeline didn't add up. Her public appearances didn't reflect the physical toll of late-stage pregnancy. And when the infamous moon bump video surfaced showing her belly collapsing like fabric as she sat down during an interview, the internet erupted into a frenzy of doubt because nothing about it looked natural, and suddenly whispers turned to accusations. Was she ever pregnant at all? Was this a stunt, a cover-up, a royal charade? Because the monarchy had never before allowed such secrecy around a birth. No hospital steps, no royal physicians, no formal announcement beyond a flat press release saying Archie was born. And just like that, the trust started to crack. Not because people wanted to attack Meghan.
Because weird. She's got form for strapping on baby bumps.
But because they were being asked to believe in a birth without a mother, in a pregnancy with no proof, in a royal moment that skipped every tradition. And when DL, the woman now claiming to be the real mother, stepped forward, the world stopped and asked, could it actually be true? DL didn't come forward for fame. She didn't come for revenge. She came because she says she's tired of being erased, tired of carrying the royal airs in secret, while another woman wore the crown of motherhood in public. Because according to DL, this wasn't a coincidence or some miscommunication. It was a cold, calculated operation from day one, organized by a discreet, high-end California surrogacy agency that deals in silence, NDAs, and women who disappear after delivery. And DL says she was one of them, chosen for her health, her privacy, her ability to vanish. And once she agreed, her entire life changed. No visitors, no phone, no internet, just doctors, nurses, and security who made sure she stayed out of the spotlight, while Meghan Markle stepped directly into it, flaunting a bump that DL claims was nothing more than a carefully molded prosthetic, designed to mimic pregnancy on camera. And while the world was watching Meghan sip tea with Oprah, DL says she was somewhere else entirely, lying in a sterile delivery room, bleeding, in pain, delivering the child that the palace would later present as Meghan's own. And for years, she stayed silent, following the rules, honoring the contract, trusting that the money and the secrecy were enough. But then she saw the video, the one where Meghan danced in a hospital gown pretending to go into labor. And that was the moment DL says everything inside her broke, because it wasn't just a lie anymore. It was a performance, a mockery of everything she had gone through alone, in the dark, with no recognition, no name, and no truth. And that's when she decided the world needed to know who really brought Archie and Lilibet into the world. The moment DL saw that video, Meghan in a hospital gown, giggling, dancing, acting like she was moments away from giving birth. It wasn't just offensive, it was surreal, because DL remembers the contractions, the screaming, the blood, the fear, and the isolation. And now here was Meghan performing it like a TikTok skit, like it was entertainment, and DL says that was the moment she realized this wasn't just a cover-up. It was a theft, a total hijacking of her identity as a mother, and what made it worse was that the world was applauding it, treating it like empowerment, when to DL it felt like erasure, because while Meghan was being praised for her natural birth and postpartum glow, DL was recovering in silence, with no acknowledgement, no face, no name, just a bank transaction and a memory. And then came the final insult. Critics began analyzing the bump, saying it looked too round, too stiff, too low, and even folding in places no real pregnant stomach ever would. And DL couldn't stay silent anymore, because the lie wasn't just surviving, it was thriving, propped up by headlines, PR teams, and royal branding that painted Meghan as a modern maternal icon, while DL was forced to pretend none of it ever happened. And that's when she made her decision that she wouldn't just speak out, she'd bring proof, undeniable proof, and not just claims, but documents, medical records, signed contracts, ultrasound images, and most of all, the willingness to take a DNA test that could end this fairy tale in one single result. What DL is bringing forward isn't hearsay, it's not tabloid bait, it's a legal time bomb.
Looking at this video, the first thing that comes to mind is that stomach is too big. It's too big. I showed it to my husband and he was like, it looks like she's giving birth to triplets. And I'm like, yeah.
And she's not just talking, she's taking action, because according to her, the entire arrangement was structured like a covert operation from the moment she signed her first non-disclosure agreement to the day she was escorted out of the clinic after delivering the child that would become Archie, and later, Lilibet. And she says the contracts were clear. No press, no contact, no identity. But what was never part of the deal was having to watch someone else wear her experience like a costume. Rehearse it, perform it, and package it for media sympathy and brand power. Because DL didn't just carry those children, she suffered for them. And now she's done watching from the shadows while Meghan and Harry monetize a lie. And the most haunting part? She says Harry knew, not just as a passive participant, but as someone who visited her secretly during the pregnancy. Someone who even wrote her a handwritten thank you note that she still keeps locked away, because it's not just about Meghan pretending. It's about a royal couple allegedly orchestrating a global deception. And if what DL is claiming can be verified, it doesn't just destroy public trust, it rewrites royal history. And DL isn't backing down. She's lawyering up, speaking to major networks, preparing for depositions, and ready to put her name on the record, because this time, she says, the palace won't be able to silence her. This time, the truth is going to court, and when it does, the world will have to face the possibility that Meghan Markle was never pregnant at all. Once the birth certificate hit the press, red flags started waving everywhere, because instead of listing Meghan's legal name, Rachel Meghan Markle, it simply read, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. And to the casual eye, maybe that's just ceremonial. But DL says it wasn't a royal flourish. It was legal smoke and mirrors meant to distance Meghan from any biological connection. And when the press asked questions, Meghan blamed the palace blamed Meghan, and the media moved on. But DL never forgot, because she remembers signing paperwork with those very lawyers who she says told her this was about discretion, not deception.
A real baby bump. I don't think that is a real baby bump. I think
way too big. It's way too big.
And sort of too low.
And yet every public appearance Meghan made after that, every perfectly posed baby bump photo, every staged speech about motherhood, every post-pregnancy outing looking impossibly slim and energized, it all chipped away at DL's sense of reality. Because she had lived the truth, she had delivered those babies, and she was being replaced in real time by someone who wasn't even in the delivery room. And then came the clip, the now infamous hospital dance video. Meghan, visibly pregnant, twerking in a gown while laughing and spinning for the camera like she was on a reality show, and DL said that was it. That was the moment she knew this wasn't just about image control. It was about rewriting her role completely, erasing the sacrifice, the trauma, the labor, and replacing it with a PR-friendly fantasy built to win hearts, headlines, and multi-million-dollar streaming deals. But DL isn't a character in Meghan's script. She's a mother, and now she's ready to reclaim her truth.
Looking at this video, the first thing that comes to mind is that stomach is too big.
Even if it means taking down everything the Sussex brand is built on. And now, DL says she's done hiding behind initials and legal clauses, because what's at stake isn't just her dignity. It's the future of the monarchy, because if what she claims is true, if Meghan never gave birth and both children were born by a surrogacy without official disclosure, then it's not just a scandal. It's a constitutional crisis, because royal succession is based on bloodline, on legitimate birth, and if Archie and Lilibet were never born of Meghan's body, and no formal royal process was followed to legitimize the arrangement, then everything from their titles to their place in line becomes a legal gray area. And that's why insiders say Buckingham Palace is panicking behind closed doors, holding late-night meetings, calling constitutional lawyers, trying to assess how deep the damage goes, because this isn't a PR nightmare, it's a threat to the very structure of royal legitimacy. And what makes it even worse is the silence, because Harry and Meghan, once so quick to clap back at criticism, have gone radio silent. No interviews, no tweets, no denials, not even a vague publicist statement to brush it off.
I'm not kidding you, but here's my theory. Because of that protection they've been afforded by the mainstream media, that they're so out of touch.
And in the world of royals, silence isn't a strategy. It's a sign of fear, a sign that maybe they know what's coming. And they can't stop it, because DL has the receipts, she has the paperwork, she has the memories, and she's already agreed to take a DNA test, publicly, on record, with cameras rolling if necessary. And that test could be the moment everything breaks wide open. Because if the results come back positive, the fairy tale ends, and what's left behind is a shattered illusion, a monarchy in crisis, and a couple who may have built their empire on a carefully staged lie. Behind the glossy Instagram posts and curated Netflix specials, something is breaking, because palace insiders are now whispering that Meghan and Harry's once carefully synchronized image is beginning to fracture under the weight of DL's.
The thing that Charles and William could do now is actually say enough. We've got to strip
truth. And while Meghan scrambles behind closed doors meeting daily with PR crisis teams and legal strategists, Harry is reportedly spiraling, lashing out at staff, cutting ties with old friends, retreating from the public eye, and begging Meghan to speak out, to say something, anything. But sources claim she's refusing, allegedly telling him that denying it would make it real, that silence is their best shield. But that silence is crumbling, because supporters are vanishing. Influencers who once hailed Meghan as the new Diana are deleting tweets. Journalists who defended her are now treading carefully. And even Sussex-friendly media outlets are going dark, avoiding the topic entirely, as if they too sense something coming, something that can't be spun. And for the first time since their royal exit, Meghan isn't controlling the narrative. DL is, and she's not just talking, she's building a case. One that's legal, personal, and devastatingly public. And every day she doesn't get shut down, the tension grows, because if Meghan was innocent, if DL was lying, wouldn't the lawyers have already come crashing down with cease and desist letters, with public denials, with legal threats? But there's nothing, just a silence that's deafening. And in a media landscape built on control, that silence doesn't look like confidence. It looks like collapse. As the walls close in, the stakes couldn't be higher, because this isn't just about Meghan losing fans or Harry losing credibility. This is about the monarchy itself facing a legitimacy crisis it hasn't seen in a century. And now, contingency. Plans are reportedly being drawn behind palace gates. Private discussions on how to strip titles, how to legally distance the crown from Harry and Meghan without igniting a full-blown public revolt. And at the center of this storm are two innocent children whose very identities may be called into question, because if DL's DNA test proves true, then everything changes. His and Her Royal Highnesses no longer apply. Their claim to succession evaporates, and royal funds attached to those titles could be immediately frozen. And insiders say King Charles and Prince William are already preparing for damage control, quietly pushing for emergency legal reviews and discussing how to separate family loyalty from constitutional duty. Because this is no longer a PR problem. It's a generational fracture, and Meghan's entire brand, her speeches on motherhood, her Netflix documentaries about maternal strength, her carefully constructed image as a modern feminist royal, is beginning to crumble under the weight of DL's testimony. Because this time, there's no palace aid to silence it, no carefully worded rebuttal to kill the story, and the more DL speaks, the louder her voice gets, because this isn't a whisper campaign. It's a reckoning, and it's unfolding in real time. And as Meghan and Harry hide behind their silence, the world isn't just watching, it's bracing for what comes next. This was supposed to be the ultimate modern love story. An American actress turned duchess, a prince breaking free from the palace, and a family built on their own terms. But now that story is unraveling thread by thread, because DL's emergence isn't just shaking public opinion. It's threatening to detonate everything Meghan and Harry have fought to preserve, from their children's royal titles to their multi-million-dollar deals built on their so-called truth. And while they remain silent, the evidence keeps stacking up: videos, documents, handwritten letters, contracts, and now the promise of a DNA test that could tear the curtain off one of the most carefully staged illusions in royal history. And this isn't about gossip anymore. This isn't about haters or tabloids or anti-Meghan narratives. This is about trust, about credibility, about whether the world was sold a lie wrapped in royal branding and sold for sympathy and profit. And as the silence from Montecito grows colder, DL's voice only grows louder. Because when one woman risks everything to expose the truth, while another hides behind palace walls and media silence, people notice. And what they're seeing now is a potential collapse not just of a public image, but of a royal fairy tale, a constitutional line, and a global brand built on motherhood that may never have existed in the first place. And if DL's DNA proves what she says, this isn't just a scandal, it's the endgame. Because the truth, the real truth, doesn't need PR, it doesn't need approval, it doesn't even need a palace. It just needs proof. And now, that proof may be coming.